How is the government shutdown impacting federal agencies? What's the most significant counterintelligence threat facing the nation? And what really happened on January 6, 2021? In an exclusive interview, FBI Director Kash Patel sat down with Armstrong Williams for an in-depth discussion on these topics and more. Here's an excerpt.
How are you impacted by the government shutdown, especially if it's long and protracted? How will that impact your mission?
So the beauty of the FBI is that the men and women put this mission first and foremost. And we are accepted from the overall shutdown because of the national security and law enforcement mission that we have.
So do they still get their pay?
Well, that's the problem. That's the biggest problem. They work, they don't get their pay now.
Until this is resolved.
Until it's resolved, they'll get their full back pay. But
which brings us to this. What is the most significant counterintelligence threat facing our country domestically, in your opinion, right now, from what you see every day?
The PRC.
Explain.
So the Chinese, and particularly the CCP, engage in the greatest level of espionage against the United States of America. And particularly troubling is how they acquire lands and real estate in and around military bases. Particularly troubling, as you have now known, is public Salt Typhoon and Volt Typhoon, where there's penetration of our telecommunication infrastructure. Particularly troubling is how the Chinese are going after our critical infrastructure systems, our water, our energy, and our electrical grid infrastructure systems. We know they've penetrated them. We, the FBI, have been able to produce in record numbers, as I highlighted earlier, counterintelligence arrests of this espionage activity. But we need a whole of government approach. We need to work with the interagency, and we need to get out there and harden our infrastructure, work with mainland China and the PRC, as I've asked them to do, on shutting down not just fentanyl precursors, which are killing Americans in record numbers, but also on their espionage activity. And other nations are doing the same, just not at the same level, to include the Iranians and the Russians and DPRK.
I want to come to January 6th. It is intriguing that 250 FBI plainclothes agents were inside the Capitol on January 6th. I saw the president's tweet to get to the bottom of it. Who placed them there? What were they doing? Were they inciting violence? What can you tell us, Mr. Director?
This is a great example of the president's initiative to solve all the answers on January 6th. And it's another example of our transparency efforts. Pursuant to the president, we investigated the matter and found out why FBI agents were placed there in the first place. And it turns out we found documentation and witnesses and whistleblowers that said we were forced to go there to do riot control. Armstrong, do you know what the FBI does not do ever? Riot control. We don't do that. So the prior leadership sent 250 some odd men and women into a situation they're not trained for, put them in harm's way, put the individuals out there in harm's way. And also, those individuals have collectively responded or said beforehand that they were forced to go there. They didn't volunteer to do that.
And you believe them?
That's their word, not mine. That's what they reported. That's what they wrote down at the time of and stated. And we made those productions of Congress, which is the only reason you know it, because I'm the only director that's willing to work with Congress to get this information out there. And so I think we are in a better position than we have ever been in terms of transparency because of President Trump's initiative to be that way, but also to fully investigate matters of great public importance like January 6th. And we're going to continue on all of those matters while we execute the mission of safeguarding this country. And that's the thing I want people to take away the most. If you focus on one thing, that was a knock at Congress. How are you doing the other thing? Because the FBI does double duty all day long. They do triple duty all day long. That's how good they are. And when you let them do the work and not hover over them and micromanage them, they're out there doing this. Summer Heat, Viper. They're doing Operation Not Forgotten, things we haven't even talked about, tribal land law enforcement in record numbers, seeking and finding international terrorists in numbers that we've never seen before. This is what they're doing all day long. In Congress, or at least some of the people in Congress, don't want to hear about the successes of this FBI because they're the ones that participated in building a corrupt FBI.